Good evening, folks, and welcome along to another episode of Swing from the Hip. Right, well, as you can see, I'm back into the hosting seat for this week. Hopefully, we may have Sharubin joining us tonight, and there's a guest of the show. Otherwise, you're going to have to put up with you're on for your daily fix of weekly cricket expertise from Paul and myself. So Paul's somewhere around there in the background doing his thing. But
somewhere around there in the background. How are you doing?
We're going to cover off.
I'm waiting for you to bring me in. You see, that's what.
Come on in. You're always welcome in. So what we're going to talk about tonight is we'll sort of round up a bit of India and England Test match number 4. Talk about what possibly maybe could happen at Lord's, and we'll wrap up the T20 series between the Black Caps and Australia. Maybe a little bit of we'll talk about the White Ferns against the English ladies series, and then if we have time, we'll wrap up the final of the one-day trophy domestically between Canterbury and Wellington. ND. Wellington and ND played in the Super Eliminator game beforehand. But, so that's what we'll cover off. And then, of course, we'll cover off Paul's experience yesterday up here in Auckland, witnessing a bit of community local Indo T20 cricket, where he drove up and kindly watched us yesterday, quarterfinals and semi-finals. A very interesting day, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, no, I had a great day up there. Yeah. It's I mean, we'll get into it later, but it's not. Yes, there is cricket going on, but that's not everything, is it? About these days, it's a whole day out for the people who are there. So it's not just about the cricket; there are other things as well. But boy, oh boy, do some of them get really into their cricket, and we will might bring up a video to show you some of the celebrations by one of the teams.
Yeah, very, very passionate, and it's very competitive when it gets to the quarterfinals and semi-final stages. Paul would have witnessed. But let's shall we start off with? Well, let's start off with the Test match, shall we?
We'll start off with the.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
So yes, they were very happy to have made it through the semi-finals to the final, and we'll have a chat about the actual tournament later on.
Yep, we definitely will. So yeah, as I was saying, shall we start off with the Test match, the final Test match between India and England? And again, I guess we at least we lasted a bit longer than the previous Test matches. We did get into day 3, didn't we? We nearly made it to day 4. We nearly,
wow.
No, almost. But hey, look, I'm going to summarise it and say that, look, I think England had the opportunities. They won the toss and they had a chance to bat on a surface that was pretty good, actually, for batting. Ben Stokes showed that again, scoring 55, had good support from down the order and Dan Lawrence and that. But they just didn't put enough runs on the board in the first innings, did they?
No, absolutely not. If we let's just run through and remind people as to how this series went, because it was a early. The first Test match, England won by 227 runs. Right, they went into bat first, scored 578. And I think a lot of people were kind of talking about basically that if you won the toss, you won the match, and that perhaps that isn't what we want from the pitchers. And we saw that in the second test, where India won the toss, went in, scored 329, won by 317 runs in the end. So two games there where the team that won the toss went in, and won by a sizable number of runs. Then it kind of changed.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, could we put down that first test just to the hangover that India had from their winning their series in Australia? They put a lot of effort into that series and maybe there was just a little bit of a hangover coming into that, so they weren't quite ready to get into the series with India, because it was quite a quick turnaround for India, really, wasn't it?
It was, but look, they also, there was also talk of basically that test side, or that side in Australia, being pretty much their seconds, right? Because they had quite a lot of people missing. So you might say actually perhaps they're a bit rusty from not having enough cricket, rather than actually the quick turnaround and being a hangover. So maybe there's a bit of that, but also the England batsmen applied themselves in that first innings. At the end of the day, you don't score 578 by trying to play in India by just by fluke or without some effort, right? They applied themselves, did the right thing, and then I think the fact they got bowled out for 178 in their second innings, then lost the second test, and then I think then India got inside their minds, inside the batsmen's minds about the fact that about spin, and I think it was more a mental thing than anything else. I mean, I know there's been a lot of people blaming the pitchers, but at the end of the day, I think it was a mental thing for England that, and maybe India did respond to that first test match. Said, "Hey boys, hey groundsmen, make sure we have spinning wickets from now on." But no, I think you've I think you've got to give the English batsmen credit for that first innings. Maybe not for the rest of the series, but at least for that first innings.
Yeah, for the first test, well, I mean, it was majority of that obviously was Joe Root getting his double century, so that was the bulk of the runs. But like you say, unfortunately, the English batsmen, through whatever happened there, just fell away in the rest of the series. Like you say, whether they were mentally undone by the thought of having to play on spinning pitches and that, but they just didn't quite have it. But let's talk about just India's first innings.
Before we move on to that, let's bring in someone who might actually know what he's talking about, or will know what he's talking about, say, compared to me anyway, at least. Sharuban, how you doing, sir?
Hello, guys. How are we?
Good evening, Sharuban. Thank God someone who knows what they're talking about joins us.
Not really, brother. Just look, summer cricket season is so tough. I mean, in terms of free nights anyway. So, but tonight happened to be a good time. But look, I have to. I don't want to, stop your flow of thought. But I really enjoyed the India-England series. For me, it was, as a diehard cricket sort of fanatic and someone who loves spin bowling, look, you couldn't get better. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally agree with your words there. Just to sit back in the evenings and to turn on the TV and watch Test match cricket in India, it was just fantastic.
Bro, it's even the timing was perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Second session and third session, you couldn't get better. I mean, the damn shame was COVID and all this crap, because otherwise you could have had bloody parties watching cricket and drinking, whiskey or whatever. It just would have been ideal. But look, I loved it. For me, it was. I just wish, though, just like you said before. I mean, after the first test, I really thought that we're going to have a close series. And it really got me going, because I mean, the way Root got 200, you thought, hello, there's this could be really good. The only thing we as Kiwis didn't want is a tied series, because that meant Australia was going to come in, So 2-2 or 1-1 or whatever. But as soon as it was 1-0 to England, then you thought, oh, hello, maybe it's England, New Zealand. But look, it was just riveting. And the biggest thing for me to come out of it is this Test Championship. And it really has bred new life into Test cricket. You know what I mean? And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's
the
just added a new dimension, isn't it?
Look, we can't really call Test cricket friendlies by any stretch of imagination.
No.
But I guess what it's done is it's added an extra layer of narrative, of storyline behind it, hasn't it?
That's right.
Now it's not just about that series. There's more to it, and you have and the other series now matter to each other, which previously they haven't really done so.
Big time.
Just added more meaning to everything, didn't it?
Big time. And you know, the thing that comes out of it, okay, before the Test Championship came to vogue, teams were scoring 300, 350 sometimes in a day because they were playing freely and stuff. After the Test Championship, the run started getting less because there was pressure now.
Yeah.
Because everything mattered. It didn't, there was no meaningless series anymore. All the series mattered. And especially if you play at home, you wanted to, or you had to win. So, oh mate, I think we sort of give the ICC a flack when they don't get things wrong. Like the old, you tie the match and someone wins, but
on a boundary count back,
boundary count back. But
come on, stop that, Ruben! I'm going to curl up in the corner again.
No, I can bring that up since they didn't make the final, so it's kind of okay, I think. But the thing that we have to give them a big tick of approval is because they have actually got something right, in my view. And the Test Championship is fantastic. It's right up what needs to happen. So fabulous. Fabulous. And the India-England was so good. Like Rishabh Pant that night. When he, I mean, look,
it's just throwing up some new stars, hasn't it?
Washington Sundar. Now he's done it twice in two sort of deciding Test matches. He's produced the goods. So look, fabulous for me.
When will he get the chance to score his maiden 100 again? I think.
But see, again,
just hang around long enough.
I felt for the run out because the run out really stuffed it up. Because Aksa is a good player, but the others are not as good. And look at and that's what it shows. I mean, imagine if they had got Aksa Patel out earlier. Then they were in it. England was actually in it in some respects. So, look, it was I think one of them, Ravi Shastri, or maybe even Kohli might have said afterwards that it was a lot closer than what people thought. And especially since you realize that when Ashwin and Pant were batting together. One of them got out at that stage, and they were less than 200. The game's alive, and they couldn't, or they didn't at least.
Exactly. And then because you always had that feeling if India could establish a lead, around the 100 or something, that was going to be
tough. That's it. But again, I mean, you look at the guy who top scored, the number 6 for England. I mean,
Dan Lawrence. I think.
Dan Lawrence.
Yeah.
Now he batted beautifully, and from a cricketing eye, I could tell that the English batters in the second innings, what they were trying to do, or quite a few of them were trying to do, is to play off the back foot. And not come forward because the Indians had a lovely length going, and so they were trying to read it off the pitch and play with soft hands and play from the back foot and make them pitch it right up and then try and hit it, kind of thing. And Dan Lawrence did it to perfection until you know, he was betting with number 11 and he thought, oh, I'll have a crack here. But he betted perfectly. And the thing that had to happen is him and Root, or him and someone had to just form a partnership and then just keep going, like keep going for a long time. I'm telling you,
Stokes, those guys had
someone, someone. Even the young fella who he looked like they had a good they said cat on a hot tin roof on the commentary, and they had it dead right, because he was just jumping around, and you know, and he got stumped. That's the guy who got stumped by Hunt. You know,
was that Folks? Was it the keeper? The Folks?
No, he was a batsman who fields in close. Yeah, I'll come to it soon. But,
sorry, I apologise for my own memory. You know, I'm old.
Yeah.
So Darren Lawrence got stumped in the first innings of the last game.
Right.
And then
in the second innings,
Ollie Pope got stumped.
Ollie Pope. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. But yeah, look, fascinating cricket. Fascinating cricket.
He came forward and didn't get to the pitch, right?
Yeah. What's that, man?
He came forward and just didn't get anywhere near the pitch of the ball.
No.
If you're going to come forward, you have to get to the pitch of the ball.
That's right. Yeah, and just, but basically the man of turn meant you playing from the back foot was a better option, and as long as you played from the back foot and covered off stump, I think you were kind of, you know, that was a good technique for me. And Dan Lawrence showed it, and even Root showed it for quite a while, but he was living dangerously, and you know.
Yeah.
But when he's having to come in at at 2 for 10, he sees then Don Sibley goes at 3 for 20. Ben Stokes comes in and goes for 2, and that's suddenly 4 for 30. And you're thinking, oh boy,
it's tough.
What
do you do?
We're hundreds behind. I've got to bat through 3 days. This isn't Atherton and Jack Russell in South Africa. This is a different. He knows it's all lost at that point, doesn't he?
As soon as I think Root and Stokes were gone in that second innings, it was just that was pretty much it. I thought real uphill battle from there.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what. I mean, through history, I mean, obviously the odds were against them, yes, but through history, you've seen some amazing back to the walls things which have you know come about, and that's the beauty of Test cricket. You know, you don't see that in a T20 or 50 overs, because the element of time is there, and the time is something that you know you just can't. You can bet time. You can, you know. I mean, I'll never forget one of my first ever Test matches I watched in New Zealand was the one in Perth, and the one where we were totally outplayed, New Zealand that is, and Australia had us against the wall, and Great Batch batted for 3 days, and got 140. 3 days in scorching sun. Martin Snedden batted for something like 160 balls and scored 4 runs or something. Mate, unbelievable. And we drew
the test. Enthralling watching, wasn't it?
Oh, enthralling. I was watching every ball going, please don't get out. Please don't get out, you know? And it was amazing, you know, and that was one of my first introductions to it. And I just thought, gosh, anything's possible, because there was no show for us to draw that Test match, because this was day 3. We were batting second, you know, huge deficit, and they just batted for 3 days, you know, 2.5 days, and you know, and this is what I mean. Look, some of the young fellas these days, and who playing Premier cricket, might I add, they don't understand that these things are possible, you know, and we've got a, you know, at the moment, most of the spinners are doing well in Premier cricket, because, you know, I mean, mind you, ever since COVID, it's the the showers have opened up. So maybe the fast bowlers might come into it on Saturday. But, it was so dry for so long that,
you can just see the
matter.
pictures are just,
brown, bro, everywhere. And first session, maybe not, but second and third session, it was just turning. Yeah. So you had to play spin well. And, and I'm seeing the same things in Premier Cricket, or sometimes even worse, with what's happening in India. People think, India, all this, but
happens in New Zealand now.
Happens everywhere. Seriously, I mean, playing spin, playing good quality spin, might I add, when the conditions are against you so much. It's a real skill, and might I add that I don't think county cricket, the pitches are too good, for it to ever happen.
Yeah.
And I really think this would be a massive learning opportunity for English cricket to see, will they do something about it? Because, because they've got an opportunity to do it. And there are counties which have sort of brownish pitches. So can you make them more spin friendly? Because that's what you need. You need the home conditions to be, classic example is India. India always had bad in terms of turning pitches, but they made their pitches true and fast, and they suddenly had fast bowlers come up.
Bowlers,
and, they've got a battery of fast bowlers now, which probably the best in the world in terms of depth.
But this is some of the things that Tarun was mentioning last week. Is that the ECB have got the budget to create the wickets that they want, if they want to, right? There's some stats that we should I'd like to just sort of pull out from this. So, as you say, Washington Sundar didn't score a century, but did average 90.50 for the series. Helped by 2 not out. To be fair, Sharma, Pant, and Ashwin were the 3 batsmen who got centuries. Sharma top scoring with 161 for India there, and those 3 plus Kohli, who got Kohli and Pujara both also got themselves 300 runs to the sea. So lots of different batsmen chipping in. It wasn't just one batsman or one player.
No. Yep.
There were more than ever. There were crucial innings, 1 or 2 crucial innings. Who stood up? Rohit Sharma stood up once. Then there was Pant stood up another time. Ashwin stood up another time.
Yeah.
That 100, I watched that as well, ball by ball. And mate, he just understood how the ball was spinning and how he could play and where he could play and where he could score and when he had to defend. And it was just really beautifully done because, and to me, that's the essence. And look, there is no reason why England can't do it. They just got to do it for longer, whatever they're doing. Yeah. But lots of them got found out. Some of them were like Bairstow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
we'll come on to the England stats in a second. But yeah, you're right. You're quite right. Look, if you think that we talk about Rahane, Gill, Pujara, Kohli, Ashwin, Pant, Sharma, and Sundar. So we're 8 players here got 50s or higher in this test series. So this was very much a team effort with the bat. And you say people stepping up when needed.
I must say though, I feel sorry, Paul. Just one quick thing there. One thing is really hard to watch was Ashwin batting. He's got to change his name. He just can't have that name.
I think maybe we should say Ravi Ashwin.
Ravi. That's much better. Yeah.
It's so funny you say that because every time I spoke about Ashwin and he was hosting the show, he'd go, you're talking about me. And I would say, no. Funny.
But yeah, so you talk about Rahane. Look, he's had 4 Test matches, but only 6 innings. And so a lot of these guys didn't necessarily have that much batting to do when they were, but they all stood up at least once, which is what did it. On the bowling side, though, this came down to 2 players.
But mind you, for me, I'll go back to this. I mean, Aksa, who plays for this mob, I mean, he was a debutant. He hadn't played Test cricket before, and I'm not sure what's going on there. Someone's.
So you're talking about so Aksa Patel, debutant, has only played 3 Test matches, but already has 27 wickets at an average of 10.5 or 10.6, 10.59.
It's all going to be downhill from there, mate. I'll tell you that.
Just have to ask poor Kyle Jameson about that, don't we?
Aksa Patel, mate, if you're watching the show, which I'm sure all the Indian players are watching the show, time to retire, mate. Absolutely. You've just been told it ain't getting any better than this. And then
but I've got to say, Paul, I mean, I've watched him a lot on the T20 circuit and playing for Delhi and stuff. And I never thought he had the consistency to do well in Test cricket as much as he did. And the biggest thing that he came to the party with is the left-arm spinners. They have a very they have a insanely good ability to bowl left-arm turn and left-arm skid, like with a very little difference in their hand. And that is key. Like if you look at, because I think he was number 2, and then number 3 in terms of wicket taking was the English left-armer, who was, the glasses guy, the guy with the glasses.
So
Leach.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Leach 18 wickets and
there
average
you go.
of 28.
Yeah. And I don't think they bowled him enough, in my view. I mean, I think they talked about it last week. I listened to quite a bit of the show, and the English thought, oh yeah, pink ball, let's play some seamers, and we're gonna do. But mate, this is not a green pitch. It's not gonna be suitable. They played 3 seamers, 3 proper seamers.
Yeah.
Waste of space, man. And to me, this whole, I don't know if anything happened, but for me, their best spinner was Moeen Ali.
Yeah.
He bowled some unbelievable deliveries in that first Test to get Kohli out.
Didn't he go home?
Well, I heard that he was rotated.
Yes,
and
that's what I read. Yeah.
And to me, that is mindless. Why do you want to rotate a spinner? You don't like. There were some mindless, stupid things that, like, as Dom Bez, you could tell in that last Test that something had happened. It wasn't, his confidence had gone. He was bowling full bungers and short trackers, and you can't do that in a Test match. Go and do that in England A or something like that, or back in county cricket. But mate, you're not good enough at the moment. So bugger off, get someone else. And Moeen Ali, he can bat also. He could contribute with the bat.
So okay,
more than contribute.
I was going to talk about Arshvin and his wickets he took, but I think you look, massively here is talking about England's selection of their bowlers. Right. If we look through their bowlers, only 3 bowlers played in all 4 Test matches. One of those is Joe Root, who is not in there for his bowling. Let's be blunt.
He's not a bowler. No,
he's not a bowler. No. The other bowler that was there, Ben Stokes, again, he's in there for his batting as much as. So the only bowler who played all 4 games was Leach. Every other single bowler got rotated, and you're like, seriously? If you're trying to get guys who are getting used to alien conditions, and you're switching in and out players, that's not going to help.
Look, the only thing I'll say is I thought Anderson even though his bowling pace and whatever, he bowled brilliantly. I mean,
that was
he had
bowling.
some of the things he did was just unbelievable, and he went for 2 runs and over. So at least he's doing some job. He's not getting runs scored off him or something.
But he's also taking wickets, right? He took 8 wickets.
He is.
An average under 16 for a guy who's a seam bowler, a guy who relies on. That's what he's a swing bowler. He's a guy who relies on swing, and you're putting him in totally alien conditions for him. These are the worst conditions he can play in, pretty much. But this is one of the points that Tarun made last week, was like, and has been making for the last couple of weeks, was if you're a good bowler, you're a good bowler. If the West Indies arrived when they had Ambrose, Walsh, Bishop, etc., they would play those guys because they're good bowlers, whatever the conditions. And I think,
mind you, I've got a caveat for that, though, Paul, because I think years ago in the 80s, they had an aura about them, and it was all about intimidation and this and that and whatnot. Mental disintegration, all that stuff, Whereas now, look, you watch the Indian players, and I'm talking about even the young fellas like Gill. You bowl a short one, he is smashing it. He's not getting out of the way. He's not intimidated. He's thinking runs, because that's their mentality now. It's not.
And there's more than just being able to bowl well. And as you say, using your own. The ability to use your reputation is part of being a good bowler, right?
Of course.
As well. So sure, they did have that, and they'd earned it. You're right.
I go back to even Tarun Nithula. He went to India with the New Zealand team, and I'm pretty sure they played 3 test matches, might have been 2, but he didn't play in any of them because they played one spinner who didn't turn the ball, which was Vittori.
Yeah.
And to me, I was sitting here going, why? Why did you take him to India? And then they took him to the West Indies. And same. Oh my God! Look, I mean, I was messaging the boy who's turning heads at the moment, Aditya Ashok, and I was messaging him while the Sri Lanka West Indies T20s were on, saying, "Are you watching this? Because you could cause some carnage if you go here." I mean, these pitches West Indies pitches are slow, and because the fact that they play so much cricket on them, they start turning. And to me, years later, New Zealand they thought, oh, maybe they're turning wickets. Maybe we should pick more than one spinner on these. And it's just, I mean, how stupid are we? I'm sitting here in my armchair watching these games going, we've got to play at least. There's another guy in your party who would love to play. But no, we have to play Hadley and whoever it was. We had to play our seamers because our seamers are good. I mean, come on. And this is the thing. This is this mentality where you've got to be flexible in your mind. And this is where I love cricket from this point of view. It's not just players batting and bowling. It's this whole strategy side of things which comes into it, and how do you win a game with this particular surface? It's not, it's foreign to you. So, be gutsy, show some courage, and actually pick players who could do well. And even to that extent, you go, who plays spin really well? When the ball is spinning, who are the best batters who are going to play spin well? There might be other county players who might be just as good as Dan Lawrence and who could grind out a 50. I don't know. I'm not, I don't know the county cricketers too much, but, could they have done these things? And it was disappointing for me. The last 3 tests were disappointing from a contest point of view.
No.
But it's when the England weren't helped by the ropers. Sibley averaging 16, Crawley averaging 16.75, Crawley the same. And if you're getting through those openers early and you're exposing the third and fourth that early on, it's going to be you always. So I mean, when you got Dan Lawrence was the averaging 24 was kind of like fourth best in the averages, and you've got him, as you
but
say,
he wouldn't have, he wouldn't have played. He wouldn't have played many games though, Paul, wouldn't he?
No, but you got him batting down at 7, right? Dan Lawrence, he played 3 tests out of the 4.
Oh, 3. Okay.
Right.
Was he one of the first two? One of the first 2 tests, didn't he play? He was higher up in the order, and then I think they dropped him and they just brought him in for the the third and fourth test, didn't they? Or
could be
something. There was, I know.
Yeah, there was
some comments in the commentary box, but I can't remember exactly what they did say something like that about it. Yeah.
Yeah, look, Arun, for me, the selections were weird. They didn't make sense. They didn't make complete sense to me a lot of the time. And look, I don't rate Dom Sibley at all. I mean, I just think, I'll tell you a story. Me and my assistant coach, we were having a bit of a curry over here at home, and we were having a couple of whiskeys, and the highlights were on, and we thought, oh yeah, we'll have a look, and we analyzed it. We sat there and we paused it, and and we could not believe how bad Dom Sibley was. Like, he's just all over the place, and he's just, I mean, he's doing something to someone to be in that team, in my view. No, I don't know.
Allegedly. Okay, we don't look. Let's be
colloquially, of course.
Anyway, anyhow.
Like, I mean, he just looks horrible, and I don't know what his average is, and I think he has scored 100 somewhere, but I mean, to me, he's just not good enough. For me, he's a typical average county pro, who might be able to, go better than run a ball if the attack he's facing is crap.
Yeah.
But otherwise, look,
okay,
they've got it.
Don Sibley's stats then: 18 test matches for 31 innings, 2 not outs, 882 runs, high score of 133 not outs, average of 30.4.
Not bad.
Was that against us, 150?
No, 133.
It was. So 2 centuries, 450s off 31 innings.
Who was the centuries against, please, Paul? Sri Lanka, maybe?
I don't know. I'd have to.
Okay.
Ireland,
Bangladesh. My guess is Bangladesh or Sri Lanka. Someone who couldn't get it past.
But it's a first class average of 39.118. A first class average under 40. Yeah. Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
I'll tell you who. Because I remember England went to India, and there was a boy who was a really young fellow who did really well, and he actually popped up on my feed one day on Facebook, because he's in Nottinghamshire, and I think the name is Hamid. I think it was Hasid Hamid or something or the other, and he's just become vice captain or something like that for the Nottinghamshire team, and he actually made his debut in England, in India for England, and did extremely well. And I remember seeing him and thinking, my God, this guy is a good player. And he just disappeared. I think he got injured or something like that. But mate, I tell you what, they could have done far worse than to pick him for me.
Okay, so Hasid Hamid, as you mentioned, 3 test matches, 219 runs, batting average of 43.
Okay, so, there you go. So why is he not there? Why is he not there? His first test match, I remember watching it, and I think he played against India in India. And to me, he showed so much ticker, so much patience, so much ability against the turning ball, and just played under his eye. And and I love the fact that he's actually now come back, and hopefully he'll be back in the reckoning, because I think he's either vice captain or captaining some of the other stuff. But he looks like, and I've always said this, to me, batters, they become at their best later, like 28 to 33.
Sure.
That's the time they really understand their own game, and they really they're at their best, whereas and you can, I think the only ones to break that mold are people like Tendulkar, who was just a phenomenon. I mean, he
just, freaks.
Freak. Like, I don't know if you remember, like when he was 16, he was playing against Hadley and scored an 80.
Man. It's just like, wow.
Just unbelievable, I mean, he was just, I mean, there's a lovely saying.
Either, did he?
No, I'll never forget. He had bum fluff on his on his mooch.
His upper lip.
And like the guys who are just going through puberty, and when he spoke with the mic, he had a real that voice just about breaking. And I couldn't believe it. And here's this guy smashing Hadley around, and I thought, oh my goodness, that was unbelievable. But look, I mean, he's a phenomenon. But to me, look, it'll be, for me now, the next best thing is India, New Zealand.
I was England. Just gonna say, let's just move on and let's talk about this now. The thing that I think New Zealand is the most looking forward to, isn't it?
So did you answer Gavin? Sorry, did you answer Gavin's question?
Oh, sorry, no question.
So got Gavin's question in the live chat. So Gavin, thanks for this. Why do you think Joe Root is sort of lost his form? Was sort of great in the first inning, but then got caught in the crease a lot.
Look, I think that's just to do with the pitches, really. I think the first test pitch, it was a good toss to win, and it didn't really start turning till later. But he was well and truly in when it started turning, so he could manage that. But all the other test match and the second test, I think they made it turn a lot more. And the toss was, again important. But if I'm not mistaken, I think India batted first in the second test.
Yeah.
And so when England batted, it was turning. But look, that's a good question, because to me, I think he is one of the classiest players around, and, we mentioned Root with the likes of Williamson and Kohli and, Smith and all these guys who've just got ridiculous averages, and they're doing well in all forms and all sorts of things. So I think that second test, now it'll be interesting to go back and have a look to see how he got out in those. But to me, that second test, if he had somehow scored even a 70 or an 80, I think that would have been a good thing to go forward on. Whereas, look, good question. But for me, the pitches, it was the pitches that was the main thing.
Simon's also got a question. He says he would like the Test Cricket Championship be of 6 and split into 2 divisions. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, fantastic idea. I think that makes it far more meaningful for the likes of Zimbabwe and Bangladesh and maybe even Pakistan and the other team. I don't think Tazz would like that, but sorry, brother. But
that's promotion relegation.
We've got Afghanistan and Ireland coming in, haven't we now? So
wow. That was actually interesting because Ireland thumped them. Is it Ireland? Yeah, Ireland thumped them, didn't they?
Yeah.
So that was good to see as well. I mean, for me, because Afghanistan, and look, people these days don't quite understand how different T20 is to playing Test cricket. It's almost a different game.
It's chalk and cheese, isn't it?
Chalk and cheese. You know, it's a bit like, you know, people who used to play indoor cricket, playing outdoor cricket. It's a different game. You know, it's cricket, but it's completely different. You know, the way you should play it and all sorts. So yeah, look, I mean, it's, to me, it showed, because Afghanistan just did not have the patience to do well. They could play a good 50-over game, I reckon, but even there, the difference is quite marked, because you know, I mean, last year or that you know, 50-over World Cup, they got into positions to win games, and then they lost it. You know, because they just didn't have that extra bit. But this is where, for me, I'll you know, for me, I don't know who Afghanistan's coach is, but this is where having a really perceptive coach can help things remarkably, in terms of getting through to the players what different skills they need for the longer format, you know, and going through making sure they're schooled in those skills, you know, and having specifics for an opener. You've got to leave the ball. You can't just play at everything, you know, all sorts of things like that.
Talking about Afghanistan, obviously, so we had the 2-day test between India and England, and that caused a big uproar about quality of the pitch and yada yada yada. We also had a 2-day test between Afghanistan and Zimbabwe, which seemed to get
Zimbabwe, not Ireland. You're right.
Well, okay. I thought they were. Who was Ireland playing? Because Ireland was playing a test match too, didn't they?
Ireland
let's just keep on. Let's just stick with the Zimbabwe.
Sorry.
To start off with, I'll look up Ireland stuff next, but yeah, look, and that test was over in 2 days. Not a hoot out of anybody saying, "Hey, look, bad. Oh, this is against test cricket," because clearly they're not quite as big and as popular. But
interest. Yeah, the fact that
not,
you know,
not
for me,
top tier, is it?
nah, and the fact that, you know, the India, and this is what I mean with the World Test Championship, it's caused a lot of interest in the game, because especially the way it got so close, and you know, so for me, suddenly, you know, especially when England won that first test, then the results of the next 3 really mattered. And also the fact that India beat Australia in Australia, that mattered as well, you know. And so, look, I think it was great. But look, I completely agree. I think for me, this fact that they've complained about the pitches and stuff, you know, it goes through one year, comes out the other for me, because you know, it's happened before. I've seen pitches in Headingley which have been, you know, just like the grass, pretty much. And
careful,
you know,
I come from Yorkshire, so be careful how you talk.
You can't tell the difference between the wicket and the outfield.
Pretty much. But the thing is, Arun, in New Zealand that happens, and everyone gets booked and thinks it's going to move around, and it isn't. It's just going straight up and down. But in England, it's different, because it's sort of wet grass. You know, it's the kind of grass. I mean, goodness me, I'm not into all that different types and all that. But there's so much science behind it. But Headingley is different, because when the cloud cover comes over the ground, it starts to move. When the sunshine comes, then the sun shines there, it goes straight. It's a very interesting ground. I mean, that test series where I think one of the iconic test series, which was England, Australia, one of the Ashes tests. Yeah. It did the sun and the clouds and the sun and the clouds. I remember watching it. Yeah. It was unbelievable. Like, it's pretty much cloud came, swung, and then the sunshine comes up and it goes straight, and the score runs, and then it just becomes. And it's look, I love Headingley. Seriously, for me, Headingley. There's 2, and both are up north. The Old Trafford and Headingley. They're both way up north, and one's Lancashire, the other one's Yorkshire. And both beautiful grounds.
Is that it's an east-west wicket, which means that at certain times of the year the batsman just can't see anything because the sun gets so.
Right. Is that right?
You've got to put your wickets north-south in England. Absolutely, you can't put them east-west.
You mean they don't stop playing like they do at McLean Park.
No.
In the sun.
I mean, yeah, exactly. They have to stop play, unfortunately, because the sun gets so low that the batsman basically can't see a thing. So, but yeah.
Interesting.
So, yes, what are your thoughts then, guys, on the second test between Afghanistan and Zimbabwe? Can you see Afghanistan turning things around, or do you think this is Zimbabwe's?
Well, first, sorry for my ignorance, but where is the series being played? Is it in? Oh, it's in UAE, isn't it?
Same question.
UAE, yeah.
UAE. Okay, so that's foreign for both teams. Look, is it in the same venue?
So the first one was in Abu Dhabi.
Right.
Trying to find the actual ground name, but I'm struggling.
I just while Paul's looking that up, Sharubin, I was just thinking while we were talking about the ground conditions, the pitch, and conditions and that. I mean, which other sport can we think of where all those elements matter so much to a game? That there's no other sport which gets influenced by any of those factors, is there?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, cricket's such a unique sport. I mean, this is where, I'm a firm believer in, cricket people should be administered by cricket people, not by people who don't know cricket, because it's so unique. I mean, all of us have seen it in terms of our young, and we've been absorbed by it and really invested in it, that we understand these things. Now, that kind of question, a person who doesn't know cricket is not going to ask something like that. Do you know what I mean? No way.
No way. I mean,
look,
that's why it's so way beyond the typical normal American, isn't it? They just don't have that intelligent ability to think about
so different. I mean, for me, like we had Grafton had to play Roskill in a semi-final of the one-day stuff, Prems on a Sunday, and I knew for a fact it was going to turn, because I know the Keith Hay Park doesn't have many pitches.
Yeah,
this is latter part of the summer. It's going to turn because it's a youth pitch, So I knew that, but I knew also that if it was cloudy, then it might swing.
Yeah.
And that was the key for us, but it wasn't cloudy. and then,
hasn't been
what I mean?
For a while, isn't it?
Another sport that
hasn't
kind
been
of
cloudy for a while, unfortunately, has it?
No,
the weekend just gone.
No, it hasn't. Not at all. Look, and they actually forecast that as well, which is why I'm the Grafton coach, and both are best two spin bowlers. They're both injured at the moment. And it's just been so hard. We're trying to make batters who bowl a bit of part-time spin to be the main spinner, which is tough. And even our reserve spin bowler who would have had games, he's done a groin. So suddenly,
Anyway,
carry on.
Getting back to Afghanistan and Zimbabwe, it's the both Test matches and the 3 T20s are all played in Abu Dhabi. I'm assuming it'll be at the same ground. Abu Dhabi's not a big place.
Well, no. If that's the case, I think because the spinners wise, I would say the advantage is with Afghanistan. Having said that, I think Nabi didn't go to go to Zimbabwe, so UAE, sorry, because he's playing T20 in the Pakistan League. Mind you, that just got canned, so we don't know if he's going to be going through to UAE or not, because he's a quality performer, and he's very experienced. And I think, like, let's say if I was the Afghanistan coach and I'm playing Test cricket again, I would be putting the onus on Nabi to be playing for us, because say, mate, you're going to lose your contract, or you're not going to get a contract next year, or whatever it is, because at the end of the day,
looking at it, Sean Williams is going to be key He scored a century.
He is.
So
he's but again, he's got experience. He's fantastic, that boy. I mean, he's shown that he could do it in the past, and I mean, but mind you, poor guy, he had there's a lot of time between drinks for that guy. You know, the last time he played Test cricket to now is, but I'm so glad that they won because of the fact that, you know, Zimbabwe's got a very good history of Test cricket and even one-day cricket. You know, at one stage they were in the top 4. You know, when they had all those brothers playing for them. You know, the Strang brothers and the all sorts of brothers, Flower brothers,
and Andy Flower.
Grant Flower, Andy Flower. They were fantastic, and I'll tell you, Paul Strang, who lives in Auckland, phenomenal man in terms of knowledge of the game and the basics, and just lovely knowledge he's got. So
the on the Island Afghanistan series, it was 4 one-day internationals in January with Ireland won 1 and Afghanistan won the other 3. So there's not been a test match with Ireland this year. That's but they again were in Abu Dhabi. So Afghanistan should have the advantage here in knowing the conditions. But I guess also the other side of it is they've got 3 T20s coming up against Zimbabwe. Have they picked a T20 side, considering that they've got the C20 World Cup coming up, and maybe that's been more important to them than the test matches? We'll have to wait and see.
I guess we should move on, Paul, because the conversation was: are we going to last for an hour? I think we're going to go beyond the hour.
We've had a great question from Gavin in the chat though, which I've got to do. He goes, I know this is off topic, but Carl Jameson looked like he was lost in the T20 series that's just been. A certain IPL team has just paid a staggering amount of money for him. So was that good? Was that money well spent, or is the?
Look, I mean, put it this way, Carl Jameson. My opinion is that he is a fantastic test bowler, and he's in terms of, you look at his success in the last year and a half, it's pretty much all been in test cricket. And he's transformed into the one-day game, the 50-over stuff. But to expect the same result in T20 is too much. You look at the age of the guy. He's pretty young, you know.
26.
Pardon?
26.
Yeah, but even if you look at how has he done in the T20s domestically, I don't think it's been great. So suddenly, the thing that he can add is the fact that he can actually bat and bowl. So that's great from a T20 point of view. But as a pure bowler, I think it was unfair almost to put him in there. And the fact that he got so much money that's out of his control. But the thing is, the person who did that is a very shrewd customer, and that's Hessen. Mike Hessen is very shrewd, and the way they purchase these people is to think, how will this person add to my squad? You know, so currently we have such and such. So what do we need? And I'll tell you, Rajasthan, for years, they've had batters who can score runs, but they have never had bowlers who have backed up the runs. Like they'll score 200 and the other team will chase it down. You know, because they've had Kohli, AB de Villiers, Parthiv Patel, all these guys who are fabulous players. Hetmeyer was in there for a little while. So all the foreign players were generally the batters. All the local guys were the bowlers. So suddenly they've put their and I'll put my word on it, that when the IPL starts, the Jameson will have gone there, and he'll have specific plans with a specific field to do what he's supposed to, and I bet you he does it, because Hessen's a really good, shrewd coach. Katic is onto it, and they'll be singing from the same hymn sheet. And Carl Jameson, one thing that he has shown is that he can follow a game plan, and he can follow it to the T. And the best thing that I see in him, I'll tell you, I mean, for me, this is massive, is he was always an outswing bowler. And last year, he got the in-swinger in his repertoire. And some of them were amazing balls. Like the guy, I remember Azhar Ali leaving a ball, and it came in and swung it. And the cricket smarts to actually do that is not, mate, I tell you, 26-year-olds shouldn't be doing that. But because he is so hungry to learn and on such a high with his cricket career, that happened. So I think this is an anomaly, and this is almost unfair for me that he got chosen in this, because there were better, in my view, there were better T20 bowlers for this series. But I think it was almost too hard to not pick him, because firstly he did so well, and secondly he commanded that money in the T20, you know, and the pressure got to him. And, you know, I mean, look, he's pretty green in the international arena. So, look, you know,
especially in the T20 stuff, and the very green.
Absolutely. And look, you know, and I'll just give the guy time. I mean, look, I remember years ago I coached him in an Auckland team, Auckland under 15 or something, and at that stage he wasn't sure if he was a batsman or a bowler. He thought he was both. But the thing that really came about is his self-belief. He always believed that he could be, you know, the top dog, and look, and he's showing it. And I mean, best of luck to him, because I think he's every step of the way, except for here in the T20s, he's shown that he's a winner. You know, and just that whole fully committed to what he does. I love that about him. Even his batting, he's completely committed. Like, you know, he hits the ball in the air, but it's not a half-hearted shot. It's a full-blooded, committed conviction with the way he hits it. You know, so look, I'll tell you, I bet you he'll be successful for RCB this year.
There we go.
So while we're talking about that T20, the T20 stuff there, can we just quickly go on to the Black Caps in Australia series and cover that off?
Series.
Yeah.
Fabulous series.
I just like to make a point that I think when the boys were discussing it last week, I might have put a comment out just in the comments part, because I was having computer issues, but I think we were just gone into the level 3 lockdown, and then we were going to have to play in front of empty stands. And I said, and I think my comment was, because I don't think New Zealand, the Black Caps, can play in front of an empty ground. And have I been proven right? We sort of came out of lockdown and we got a crowd and we won again.
Look, I tell you what, Arun, I think people underestimate the power of the home advantage. And part of the home advantage is not just the fact that you know the conditions. It's actually the fact that there are 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever it is, cheering you on, and that creates energy. You know, that creates a positive energy and flows into you. There's no question about it. I've felt it before, and it makes you do things which you didn't think you're quite capable of. You could tell the way Martin Guptill batted in that last one. Oh my God, how good was that? You know, and this is the guy supposedly out of form, but you know, the way he took apart the leg spinner was amazing. You know, just 6 after 6, you know, and complete conviction again, the way he played. And I mean, he's a world beater. They should never be thinking that in a white ball game, i.e. T20 or 50 overs, he should be playing till he can't play anymore. Basically, he's crippled or something. You know, he's got an incredible record of 50 overs and T20 for New Zealand. You know, and I mean, Guppy, I mean, he's a all-time good guy for me. You know, he's just a fabulous human being. And you know, he should be picked every time. I mean, I think Bangladesh, they'll be interesting because they could give some of the other guys a go. But I love the fact that Mark Chapman got a go, and he got Glenn
Maxwell. Yeah.
Maxwell out, which was fantastic because again, Chappie, he's been there, then he's gone away, he got injured, whatever. Now he's coming back, and I think he's primed for a spot. And he's actually not bad. He's got a very good left arm spin action with him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the other guy I think we got to give a mention to in the spin department is Ish Sodhi, isn't he? Didn't he just bowl really well through the series?
I'll tell you, absolutely, Arun. For me, Santner and Sodhi together, first time for me, they showed a lot more. I don't know what it exactly was, but they definitely showed more skill in terms of, especially Sodhi. I mean, Santner's got lovely, especially in T20, he's got a beautiful set of skills which complement T20 and 50 overs really well. Not sure about the Test cricket, but definitely in those two. But Sodhi showed a lot more skills for me. Couple of, like in that last game, I remember one particular ball, he bowled like a front of the hand ball, and it turned like a top and beat Marcus Stoinis, all ends up. And I was going, I haven't seen that before, So he's actually, and then he bowled a flipper in the I think in the second one. So he's actually growing as a leg spinner to try new things, to make him harder to read and all those things, and that is outstanding for me, because when you stand still, you're going backwards. If you're trying to keep improving, that means you're going forward. And that was great to see from Sodhi. I mean, the thing with Sodhi is he unfortunately seems to get injured a lot, like, I mean, he went to play in the CPL and poor guy had all sorts of issues with his shoulder or something. So for me, the key for him is to make sure he's fit and make sure he's strong in the right areas. Because what you don't realize, I used to bowl leg spin for 20 years. I tell you, if you're bowling leg spin quickly, you need to be super fit, and not just in your shoulder, but in your hips, in your legs, in your knees, in your in your other shoulder, all these other things. So I just hope he stays fit till the T20 World Cup, because we've got the team in terms of good spinners, but hopefully some. Glenn Phillips is another one who could bowl a bit of spin, So that's what we need, but they need to keep developing that skill. It's crucial that they do that, because if they can,
it was just great how Kane actually used them in that last game.
Well, the thing is, Arun, we used them because Aussies did the game before and smashed us. They bowled 12 overs of spin out of the 20. And look, it's a really interesting one, because for me, there's spin bowlers, and even spin bowlers, right? These days, they're told to bowl fast. So there's a guy, beautiful bowler, Adam Jones. I had a bit to do with him when he was year 7 and 8 at Sacred Heart. He played for Howick Premiers, bowls with beautiful shape, and that he was told to bowl faster, and he's gone boom downhill because he's bowling too fast and his shape has gone. You've got to bowl as fast as you can with the shape that you can possibly get, and that is a real subtle thing, and it's not something. If you bowl too fast, then suddenly you become a medium pacer. What's the point? So to me, it's crucial. I mean, the guy that I love watching is Nathan Lyon, because he bowls pretty fast, but it looks like he's got fantastic shape and turn. So he's bowling with absolutely everything he can to bowl as fast as he can, but with shape. The shape is the key in my view, So yeah.
There's something I've spotted in the stats that I find really interesting about Sodhi. So 6 players had better economy rates than he did in this series. 3 from New Zealand, 3 from Australia. but he was taking a wicket every 88.7 balls. He was taking a wicket every 1.5 overs. That's a hell of a strike rate, isn't it?
So was he the highest wicket taker, or at least one of the highest wicket takers?
He took 13 wickets. No one else took more than 10. So yeah,
there you go.
So he took 5 more wickets than anyone else.
Mate, massive. You know, people talk about one-day cricket, and end of the day, you get a wicket, they slow down. Full stop. It happens every time. And if you get, you know, if they have a partnership, you get this guy out, and then somebody else comes in, you get this guy out, they have to slow down. For the next 3 years.
You might not see that in your stats, right? But you will see it in the team stats, and you're helping the other bowlers. And a lot of things we talk about. I mean, one thing we talk about Warren and I've gone blank. The pace bowler he used to bowl with
McGrath.
They bowled so well in partnership. And it looks like here that Sodhi is a great partner bowler. In fact, if he keeps knocking over those wickets, it makes the job of the other guy at the other end so much easier.
You're bowling to a new fella. You're bowling to a new guy who's just come in. You know, it's got to be easier. You know, so look now. I've got to say, Arun, on the money, brother. For me, so the best I've seen him in a T20 series, and the unfortunate thing I believe is quite a while ago he played a bit of T20 for New Zealand, and suddenly he became the #1 T20 bowler. And I thought that was just so quick. You know, for me, the rankings or something was, you know, crazy how he became #1. And I think, I don't know if he got complacent or whatever, but ever since then, he came down, and then now he's come up again. So look, again, to me, you know, I think his best years, in my view, his best years are in front of him.
I think like to me, you know, like I think leg spinners or spinners maybe in general, and that they tend to mature at, you know, at a little bit an older age, you know, and that it just takes time. It takes time to get to know that skill, learn this start of leg spinners, you know.
Yeah, completely. Look, I'll give you a classic example myself. My best season in Premier Cricket was when I was 40. I mean, that's putting it. I was top wicket taker for Parnell, and I think I came close to being top wicket taker for Premier Cricket in Auckland, and I was 40 years old. It was ridiculous. But you know, but that's a classic example. You know, I mean, I never got the gist of, you know, the control of length, things like that. Didn't quite hit me till later in life, and that's exactly what you're saying. It's that maturity thing, and I think, look, don't discount the fact that Sodhi's just become a father too. He's had a child a little while ago, and look, that's going to mature you very quickly. I'll tell you that for a fact.
That's so true.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think he's a fabulous young man, and I hope that I'm right in saying that he's going to, you know, have his better years in front of him. But we'll see what happens.
So where is the
T20 World Cup?
Yeah,
is it in Australia?
No, that's in India, isn't it?
India, right? Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So there you go. The spinners are even more crucial then.
Yeah. So I think that's when is that? Is that after we play India in the Test Championship after that series or that later in the year?
Right.
So that'll be. I think that's what everyone's building towards. So that'll be really interesting now. So
it'll be great. Look, I mean, for me, you know, you look back at those T20 World Cups, and some crazy things have happened in them. You know, I mean, I can remember them. You know, West Indies won one, and my God, the dancing afterwards was just amazing. You know, just unbelievable. Then India beat Pakistan in the very first one, I think.
Yeah.
What's his
West
name?
Indies won too.
Yeah, might have. Yeah, might have.
Yeah.
They might have. Yeah. Well, I'll never forget. At one stage, the West Indies men won the T20. The West Indies women won the T20, and the West Indies youth won the 50 overs World Cup.
Yeah.
You're going. What else can you do? I mean, you've got just got all of them, but then it was downhill after that because they haven't quite been there. Yeah. But look, I mean, this T20 in the Sri Lanka West Indies was quite fascinating as well. It came down to, I think the third one was a decider, and it was this morning, and I think the West Indians won by 3 wickets, so it wasn't all. Yeah.
I did see, because I think I can't remember which game it was, but where the Sri Lankan bowler spinner, I think he got a hat trick, didn't he? And then Kieran Pollard came out.
Hit him for 6 sixes.
Smashed him place in the next over. And they, I think the West Indies went on to win it, didn't they?
Yeah. I think
the West Indies won the first one by 4 wickets. The Sri Lanka won the next one by 43 runs, and then the West Indies won the last one by 3 wickets. So in every single game, Sri Lanka batted first, and West Indies batted second, which is interesting as well.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. But look, I mean, end of the day, I think it's, this is what we need, I mean, it's exciting cricket and be able to watch it. And I just can't wait for these bloody vaccines to come in, and next summer we can have a usual summer again.
Yeah, hopefully back to normal, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, mate, it's been such a hard season this season with so many things.
Well, look, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure having you back on, Struben, and I've enjoyed.
Pleasure, mate.
I've let this run over by way too much.
Arun, we haven't even covered everything, Paul.
I know we haven't, but look, I can't be here till midnight. Okay, I've got to get some sleep. So,
hey, just a shout out. That is actually a good point. Carlos Braithwaite in the T20 innings when he hit Stokes for those sixes. Amazing. And then Stuart Broad got hit by Yuvraj Singh for 6 sixes. I mean, mate, I tell you what, T20, there's no ego. Everyone gets smashed. It's brilliant. I love it so much. Like Stokes, one of the best cricketers of our generation, got hit for sixes by Carlos Braithwaite. Out of the blue, because this guy hasn't done much at all. No. And then suddenly he does that. In fact, he could have been a hero against New Zealand in the World Cup 50-over game, but he went for he went for the 6 rather than along the ground. This is where cricket smarts come into it. But anyway, look, been a blast, lads, and great to chat cricket and have a bit of a whiskey while we're doing that.
Excellent, fantastic.
Just some things to round up the weekend. The things to round up.
Thanks, mate.
The champion. So yes, West Indies won the T20 World Cup twice and are the reigning champions. Right. The last one was in 2016. Wow, and it's like 5 years ago.
Interesting.
Jeez.
Yeah, but the reason for that is the Aussies were going to have the T20 World Cup in 2020.
Yep.
And it didn't come about because of all that COVID stuff and whatever else.
Yeah.
So one of the fun things is that you're only going to be actually the reigning champion in the T20 World Cup for 1 year, whereas in every other time you get it for several years. The West Indies won it twice. Sri Lanka once, India once, Pakistan once, and England once. Australia never won it. Runners up only is the closest they've come.
Interesting. Say that again. So West Indies twice, Sri Lanka won.
So Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, England have all won it once.
Oh, I see. England won it with Paul Collingwood, and I tell you what, there was an opener, Keswater or whatever. He was amazing in that, and I think Peterson had a good T20 series there as well. Yeah. Oh, fantastic! And I remember the Sri Lankan one as well, because Sangakkara could not score a run through the entire series, and then they still picked him in the final, and he got a 50, and chased it down with Tisara Pereira hitting the winning runs. So yeah, you brought me back some memories, brother. That's awesome. And I'll still remember New Zealand playing Sri Lanka, either a quarter or semi or one of those games. New Zealand bowled first, got Sri Lanka out for something like 90 or 86 or 100 or something. Rangana Herath came up opening the bowling and got 4 or 5 wickets. I'll never forget it. I was sitting here watching, going, come on, don't get out to this spy thrower. And they just kept getting out time after time. Oh, my God. And, I tell you, that guy, Rangana Herath, mate.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know, he worked in a bank. Sat in his ass and worked in a bank. He was completely unfit. But could he bowl? And you know his secret? His secret was his arm would bowl from here and then here. So that was his variation, from here and here. So just the height of his arm was his variation.
Wow.
And my God. And it was all about angles after that. And he just kicked ass. His record is unbelievable in Test cricket. And other cricket, actually.
Yeah.
So I think that English batsman was Michael Lum you were talking about, or Craig.
Oh, yeah. Michael Lum, yes.
Michael Lum. Yep.
Yeah, left-hander. Yeah.
But some folks, so yes. So
was he English? I know he was from South Africa.
Oh God, what are you trying? I'm trying to wrap the show up. Haven't you? Can't you tell? Hello?
Yeah, I can see that.
No, fair enough. He did play for England.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, he was born in Joburg.
There you go. I do know my stuff.
Yeah.
That's why we have you on. Whenever we can get you, we'd love to have you on.
Looks lovely to talk.
It's been great to talk. I did spend yesterday at the Indo-Kiwi T20 Championship. Now, so Arun and I, what we'll do is we'll put together a supporters special just for people who support New Zealand Sports Radio, talking about that. So you can support that on patreon.com/NZ Sport Radio for as little as $1 a month to try and keep me fed. So we will put together a special show talking about that, because I say I had a great day yesterday.
Is it the final next Sunday or something? Is it?
No, we've still got to decide on the final, because look, it's just amazing the number of tournaments that happen. You know, these T20 tournaments of the different leagues.
Yes.
So I think this Sunday there's another 2 or 3 kicking off.
Right,
unfortunately, because of lockdown.
It's all good.
Yeah, yesterday we could only we got through the quarters and the semis, so yeah, we've got a final. So we're just trying to sort that out in the background when we do the final.
So if you like and follow the New Zealand Sport Radio Facebook page, we'll put it on there when that final is going to be.
Fabulous.
So thank you very much, Ruben. Thank you very much, Arun. It's been a fantastic evening. I've
Excellent
absolutely loved it.
Fantastic. Thanks to Ruben.
And
thank you. Thank you both.